So, welcome to the Emotional Support Animal Show, episode 11. We're thrilled to have you join us today as we dive into the world of emotional support animals and the incredible impact they have on their lives of their handlers. This show is dedicated to giving you an inside look at the people and the stories behind these amazing animals. In each episode, we connect with registered emotional support animal handlers who are officially listed with the Emotional Support Animals Registry in the UK. Our guests share their personal journeys, the unique ways their ESAs have transformed their lives, and the invaluable bond they share with their companions. From heartwarming stories of resilience to insights into the daily life of an ESA handler, this episode promises to be both informative and uplifting. We'll be asking our guest a range of questions about their emotional support animals, how they become registered, and the positive changes these wonderful companions have brought to their lives. Whether you're an ESA handler yourself, consider getting one, or just curious about the role these animals play in mental and emotional well-being, you're in the right place. So sit back, relax, and let's dive into another episode of the Emotional Support Animals Show. Let's get started. Ryan, thanks for coming on the show. To begin with, could you introduce yourself and tell us about your ESA, what kind of animal they are, and what makes them special to you?
Yep. Hi, my name's Claire. My ESA is a miniature Labradoodle called Monty, and he's 6 years old now. So he's before Monty. Before him, it was really kind of quite difficult to get out, to do stuff, to do. I'm diagnosed with ADHD and ASD, and I went through a bit of a stage where I didn't want to go out, I didn't want to see people, didn't want to be around people. And having Monty, he was about 1 at the time, kind of really made a difference to me in where I could go. I'd often avoid places, avoid people, avoid situations that felt really unpredictable or overwhelming. And it kind of all got a bit confusing and a bit too much of a maze and too loud, too fast, a bit complicated. So for me, having Monty, it kind of gave me access to a new kind of world with the support from him to give me the confidence to go and do stuff and be out there, really.
Can you take us back to the moment you first decided an ESA might be right for you and what led you to that decision?
Yeah, so at the time, I work in a school, and I was working in a school. So it was trying to work out how I could function with an ESA, still function with work and things. So the conversation came up about having kind of an ESA dog and a school dog at the same time. And we kind of looked into it. And at the time I was working with an executive head teacher, and she had loads of dogs. She loved animals. And she kept saying that how she felt that would help, that would support me in kind of my own needs. And then how we could do that with work, because obviously we didn't want to have a dog and not be able to support around. So there was lots of discussions, lots of different bits going on. And then it was trying to work out how we could use the ESA dog, how we could still do everyday tasks and be around with him. So it was kind of a bit of a discussion between having a dog around school that would also be an ESA support to me as well. So it was kind of, it worked both ways. So it was more someone from the outside was kind of like, I think this will really help you get out of the kind of situation I was in at the time. So that became really helpful.
Once your ESA came into your life, what were the first changes you noticed in your daily routine or overall well-being?
Yeah, both really. So for me, it kind of changed everything about the way my days happened. So I obviously do a lot more walking now, and I didn't before. And the biggest one isn't just the walking. It's that grounding of being outside. It's that nurturing, that outside area. I love being outside. I love being around nature. So it didn't just improve kind of physical health. It gave me something, a little bit more than that. Sort of listening to the birds, watching all the seasons change, all the grounds, just having that space and that movement to walk around. It was kind of, I find it really comforting, and I still do now. So if I'm a bit unsure, a bit anxious, I'll go for a walk, especially with the ADHD. If I need that movement, I need that regulation. we'll take him out there. If I find it hard, so prior to being diagnosed with ADHD, it was kind of the diagnosis of depression and anxiety, which I think is kind of over each other, kind of overlinked with each other. And I think so, if not so much at the present, but in the past. So I've had Monty, he's 6 now. So he's been registered as ESA for 3 years. He was a sort of registered as therapy dog, school therapy dog before then. And I think, when it was the hardest days and the hardest mornings, and he didn't really want to get up and didn't really want to move and didn't really want to focus, he was there. So he might have been jumping on the bed. He might have been, he was there. And then it would be like, oh, I need to get up for him. I need to let him out. I need to take him for a walk. I need to feed him. So you would get up and start looking after himself. So he gave me that purpose again to make sure that I wasn't in my own situation the whole time. And yeah, you do need rest and you need things like that. But he became that purpose and that kind of reason to get up and to keep kind of looking after myself, looking after him, and kind of, more that purpose. He sort of gave me that purpose to get up and to move.
Could you share a memorable moment when your ESA gave you comfort or support during a particular difficult time?
Yeah, I mean, there's probably lots of different ones that I could talk about, but I had quite a few counselling sessions, and I still do attend counselling. And to begin with, wasn't the best speaker at the time. I didn't want to speak, didn't want to communicate. So he used to come with me. So he'd come with me. The counsellor was happy for that, and he would just usually sit on my lap, and he would just sit there, and he just gave me that distraction, I think, as well. So that distraction, I was able to talk with him. That sensory feeling of being able to talk, really. Sometimes social interaction for me can be a bit of a stumbling block, and I'm not very great at communicating or starting conversations, and worry sometimes about saying the wrong thing. But that kind of changed, because at the beginning, say I was out on the walks with him, I wouldn't necessarily want to talk to people. I might have my head down, headphones on, things like that. But then you kind of begin that interaction, like when you see others with other dogs, that kind of talking, that gives you that kind of conversation, going into being able to go into kind of coffee shops with an ESA dog, going into different situations. It just added that confidence that he was there with me. And if someone did speak, they might speak or speak to the dog, or it was just that you kind of wasn't on your own really with him. So it gave that more confidence of what we needed to do.
Beyond the personal benefits, how has having an ESA influenced your relationships with friends, family, or your wider community?
Yeah, so for me, he does come into school. He doesn't necessarily come in every day. To be honest, sometimes it can be a bit too much. And I do work in a special needs school. We have a range from age 4 up to 18. And he loves being here. They love him. And so he's sort of an ESA dog for everyone in our school, the staff, the pupils, myself. So he seems to sense exactly what people need. So often if the children need regulating, they'll pop in and come and see him. They'll take him for a walk. If a pupil's upset or dysregulated or overwhelmed, he'll go over for them for a cuddle. Sometimes you might have a child that's upset. If he notices a child crying, he'll go up to them. I think that's that sensory. Obviously, you've got the heartbeat going on as well. So you've got that, and then you've got the sensory feeling. And he just seems to add calmness and distraction to everyone, and just that support. He just gives that support to everyone, one that's there really. He brings that connection. Sometimes some of the children that might struggle to read, he'll sit next to them while they're reading aloud, so they're kind of reading to him, and he just kind of. He's a bit of a shared ESA dog, so he's with me of the evenings and going out the weekends supporting me. But within the day, he really does support lots and lots of different people, and he's a good distraction for them. And it's hard to explain just how much I think emotional support dog works for others and supports them.
Have you faced challenges or resistance because of your ESA, whether in housing, businesses, or in public spaces?
I haven't, to be honest. I've never had an issue with taking him anywhere that I've been, but they've always been acceptable to him. I have had to use the ESA certificates and things like that and the passes to show that he is an ESA dog. But I've never had an issue where anyone has said that he can't come in or can't be a part of or anything like that.
Looking at the positives, what's been the most unexpected way your ESA has helped you? Something you didn't anticipate when you first started on this journey?
I think for me, and again, it's a little bit hard to put into words, but I think it has, for me, it's just that comfort and confidence. And just if I'm a bit anxious or a bit upset, he just seems to know. He'll just come over and it just seems to add that calmness. So I think it has regulated me a lot more to be able to go and do a lot more things, whether that's just mixing socially with people, going out to different places, going on to sort of holidays where he comes with us. So yeah, I think I know confidence seems a big word, but I think it's just he's given me that underlying support and confidence and that sort of quiet reassurance that everything is safe, that he's there, and kind of keep moving forward, really.
Many people have misconceptions about ESAs. Is there one myth or misunderstanding you'd like to clear up today?
I think on the whole, not necessarily, well, maybe ESA as well, but I think sometimes, they're referred to as it's just a dog. You don't need that support. You don't need that help. How can you get that much support just from having an ESA? But it's just that it's so hard to put into words for some people. But I think it's that steady ground. It's that quiet kind of reassurance that there's some animal, there's some being there, there's a heartbeat that is kind of looking out for you. They might not be able to use words, whichever the animal is, but it does really, really help and really supports. And I think there's such a need for ESA dogs to be accepted, to be allowed, and to just kind of give people the confidence that they need to get on with life, really. And that's kind of social bridge and that helping others. You can see a difference that he makes, not just to me and my life, but to the pupils and the children around as well. And you can see that instant distraction and instant change that he can bring to others. And that's the same for all ESA animals.
On a more personal note, how does your ESA help you manage specific symptoms of your condition or disability, hidden disability?
Yeah, so for me, I think I will move a lot more with him because of taking him to the parks, taking him for the walks, like I said earlier. So physically, for me, that really helps with my regulation itself. He's really good for the comfort. So even if he's laying next to me snoring, there's that something there. So he takes away some, I wouldn't say necessarily all the time in every situation, but he will take away the anxiety of going to new places, for walking into places, because it's like most people will go towards an animal rather than a person. So for me, it's not people looking at me, it might be looking at him, because that's like kind of one of my kind of things. And I think it just helps. I often have too much noise going on, too many unknowns, but that him being there allows me to be that little bit braver or that little bit of presence or kind of less vulnerable in the situation that I'm in. And for me, the daily routines of keeping that routine, going outside, being in nature just adds a calmness to me. And particularly for me, I'm quite a sensory person. So having that sensory for that feeling all really kind of supports where I'm at.
Thinking back about your local area, how welcoming have the businesses and services been towards your ESA?
On the whole, yes. I've never really had a real issue of bringing him in anywhere. Sometimes they will ask to see if he's an emotional an ESA, or they'll ask to see it, or they'll question as to why. Sometimes you can get that bit of, they'll kind of look at you and think, well, you haven't got a disability, that kind of hidden disability type thing.
Yeah.
So sometimes I've had to explain that, but they kind of question it and you explain. Then I've never had anyone say no, but there has been comments. They don't necessarily, if I just walk in with him, they'll want to see something if they're not a dog friendly place.
Yeah. Have you ever travelled with your ESA?
Not out of the UK, so only within the UK. So he's been to holidays, but most of them have been dog friendly places.
Okay. We were just going to ask you what the experience was like, but it's dog friendly, so that's fine. For someone,
one of them wasn't. One of them, they accepted him. There was no dog friendly ones left, and it was a holiday place. And they said he could come as a assistance dog, ESA assistance dog. So they took that paperwork. Yeah.
Oh, good. For someone watching who is considering an emotional support animal, what's the most important piece of advice you'd share from your own experience?
I would say just to make sure that you've also got the time for them as well. I mean, they're absolutely amazing, and as long as you can fit them in with the places and that they can go to, and if it's your work and things like that, if you are working, just to make sure that the company will accept them as an ESA. But that would be the one thing I would check first. But I would highly recommend. There's so many benefits to having whatever the animal is, but having an ESA, it does make a difference to different aspects of life, and it really does make a difference.
Do you have any tips for caring for them in any way that supports your own health and energy?
I'm just trying to think. Any tips? I think just making sure that you're able to look after them, possibly, and then I would just recommend trying to fit them into your life. So if you have a routine, or a life, making sure that they can fit into where you're at, really.
Finally, if you could leave our viewers with one thought about emotional support animals, something people often overlook, what would it be?
I think it's, and I probably did say this, but I think it's the giving me confidence, independence, and that companionship. So most of all, I think it's that kind of gift of not facing the world alone, having someone there to sort of back you up and support. I think it's that comfort.
Okay.
That you've got someone
Great.
supporting.
So thank you for coming on the show. It's been much appreciated, and thank you to all those viewers watching this show. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. Hit the thumbs up, and of course share the video link on your social media. Thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Okay.